Imagine dedicating every second and every penny of your life to reaching Formula One. Some drivers even put their families' futures at risk. And still, many didn't make it. However, when you're Lance Stroll and your father pays more than $300 million to have access to state-of-the-art simulators, manufacture illegal parts for your car, and buy your own team, you can skip all that sacrifice. Now imagine having all these privileges and still having the nerve to say this about the super license system.
The system is, to keep out those who don't deserve to be there, preventing them from buying their way into lower series and making it to Formula One.
It's ironic he criticizes drivers who buy into the lower categories, when he was the driver with the most advantages in the entire history of Formula One, like when his teammates were forbidden from competing against him. But that wasn't all, and this story full of irresponsibility, cheating, and injustice begins in 2014. Lance Stroll began his single-seater career by securing a seat in the Italian Formula 4 Championship with Prema Power Team, one of the most prominent teams in junior categories, known for giving their drivers great opportunities to win titles. Now then, you might be wondering, if Prema was so good, why did they offer the seat to Stroll? Was it because of his talent? Because he belonged to the Ferrari Driver Academy? Maybe, but there's a fact that can't be ignored. His father, Lawrence Stroll, had a significant stake in the team. In fact, it was rumored that he had invested close to $60 million in Prema to ensure that his son had the best opportunities for success. Does this story sound familiar to you? Anyway, with a combination of skill, his father's great influence, and the help of a rather particular rule, Lance Stroll won the Italian Formula 4 title in 2014. His teammate was Brandon Maisano, a 21-year-old driver with experience in Formula 3. Curiously and inexplicably, Maisano returned to Formula 4 after 3 seasons in Formula 3 just for 2014, right when he was teammates with Stroll. Throughout the year, Maisano far outperformed Lance, but there was a pretty convenient detail: he was too old to be eligible to win the title. A rule in the category required the winner to be under 18. So Lance Stroll was crowned champion by finishing second in the championship. In 2015, Stroll made the jump to Formula 3, competing with Prema in the European Championship. Although he managed to outperform drivers like George Russell and Alex Albon, he was clearly beaten by 2 other future Formula 1 drivers, Antonio Giovinazzi and Charles Leclerc. However, during that year, Stroll's results were not the most remarkable aspect of his season. At Monza, he had a serious crash after forcing Antonio Giovinazzi off the track.
He made great progress, 15th on the grid, and then a huge crash! Flipped in the air, absolutely massive, and it's Lance Stroll.
He was lucky to walk away from the crash unharmed. After such a terrifying accident, you would expect him to reflect on his driving style to prevent something like that from happening again. Did he? No. In the next race in Belgium, he was on the inside alongside 2 other cars, one of them his teammate. And when entering a corner, he went too wide without checking his mirrors, causing a triple retirement, and taking Felix Rosenqvist and Mikkel Jensen with him.
Here he goes to the outside of Jensen. They make contact and it's Rosenqvist who comes off worse. Broken suspension in the runoff area against the barriers. Could have been another impact, but look at Stroll. Has no idea where anyone is.
As a result, the Fédération Internationale de l'Automobile suspended him for the next race at Spa-Francorchamps. So after 2 major crashes and a suspension, you'd think this time he would reflect on his driving and avoid any kind of incident. No. 2 races later in Zandvoort, he made the same mistake with Charles Leclerc at the start of the race.
He's in the middle of the track, Charles Leclerc beside him, cuts across, goes airborne and breaks both suspensions. Sorry, but that's Lance Stroll again, making a move without awareness of his surroundings.
Despite his incidents and mediocre results, Williams, the Formula 1 team, didn't seem to be discouraged. In late 2015, they signed him as a development driver, which sparked rumors that Lawrence Stroll had invested $10 million in the team. Although, of course, the super license system exists to keep away those who don't deserve to be in Formula 1, preventing them from buying their way in. Obviously, Williams denied the accusations. On the other hand, Prema didn't seem to care about his performance either, since they renewed his contract for 2016. However, the following year would mark a drastic change in his career. But before that, if you're enjoying the video, subscribe. 2016 was supposed to be the year when Lance Stroll began to achieve exceptional results, and both the team and his father made sure of it. That year, Stroll became the champion of the European Formula 3 Championship, which at first glance sounds very impressive. He won the championship and achieved 14 victories in 30 races, which allowed him to skip Formula 2 and go straight to Formula 1 in 2017. However, although it seems impressive at first glance, the reality is very different, and this is where things get really interesting. Formula 3 is a spec series, which means that all teams use the same chassis, engines, and tires. In theory, this guarantees a level playing field for all competitors. But when you have the purchasing power of Lawrence Stroll, you're not competing under the same rules. According to Automotor on Sport, Lance's father bought the entire Prema team and also acquired a state-of-the-art simulator, specifically so his son could practice with the Williams team. In other words, just like at Aston Martin years later, Lawrence Stroll bought an entire team and gave his son access to a simulator that no other driver had. That way, he gave him a clear advantage in a category where there was supposedly a level playing field. But that's not all. In sandboard, Stroll was disqualified from qualifying due to an irregularity in the suspension, which made him lose 2 pole positions.
The stewards found his car illegal and therefore his times have been cancelled for both races.
Lance Stroll at the back of the group.
If supposedly all the cars are the same, how is it possible that only one has an irregularity in the suspension? In any case, all the cars should have had the same irregularity, right? No. According to Autosport, the Prema team stated that the illegal parts allegedly developed by Williams didn't boost Stroll's qualifying performance. That's hard to believe. Prema team principal René Rosin declined to comment on speculation that this modification, which was installed only on Stroll's car, came from Williams. However, reliable sources claimed that Prema had an in-house development at the Formula 1 factory, and that there was a Williams staff member at Sandboard. Up to this point, we've seen how Stroll's father bought him the entire Formula 3 team. He provided him with an exclusive state-of-the-art simulator and secretly collaborated with the Formula 1 team to develop illegal parts just for his son's car. And as incredible as it may seem, the most scandalous thing is what comes next: the team orders controversy. In the first race of the season in France, Lance Stroll was on pole position, with his teammate Nick Cassidy in second place. At the start of the race, Cassidy overtook Stroll and took the lead, but held the position for only 1 lap. At the start of the second lap, Cassidy slowed down on the main straight to let Stroll overtake him, making it obvious what was happening.
And now there's a change of leadership. Lance Stroll simply passes his teammate Nick Cassidy for the lead.
What possible excuse is there for using team orders on lap 2 of the season's first race? This made it clear that Stroll not only had advantages in terms of equipment, but he was also protected by the team and his father to make sure he didn't fail. A young man, George Russell, who was also competing in that series, expressed his frustration. In an interview with Autosport, Russell said, "I feel sorry for Nick. Losing his position to Lance on the first lap hurts the championship. He was behind Lance the entire race, and it's a shame if the championship turns out like this. High-tech can't protect me like Prema does for Lance. It's a shame that you can't get anywhere in this sport without paying for it." If you agree with Russell, subscribe. Stroll won the 2016 European Formula 3 Championship by a wide margin, thanks to his father creating a situation where it was almost impossible for him to fail. Despite that, Stroll failed more than half the time, winning only 14 out of 30 races that year. Then he gave an interview talking about how some drivers buy their way into the lower categories, when his own father bought him a Formula 3 team and made sure his teammates didn't compete against him. He gave him an exclusive simulator and secretly helped a Formula 1 team develop illegal car parts. Ignoring all of this, as if it never happened, and making these statements is the highest level of hypocrisy. And after all this, it would be logical to think that it would still be a few years before Formula 1 arrived, right? No. Just months after winning the title, the news broke that Lance Stroll would make the direct jump to Formula One as a full-time driver without having to go through Formula 2. And you're not going to guess which team signed him, Ferrets. No, it was Williams. Obviously, it was Williams. And the $80 million that Lawrence Stroll paid to the British team, in addition to everything he had already invested, helped secure the seat. Once in Formula One, Lance Stroll earned a reputation as one of the most controversial and hated drivers. He was involved in multiple scandals, including intentionally endangering a world champion. So watch this video and discover his 10 worst controversies.